Hello, everyone. Welcome to my webinar training. My first assistant here, Portia, she's helping me out today. She's my assistant. Welcome to Advocates for Justice Paralegal Service Foreclosure Defense Training Session. In this session, we're going to cover unconventional foreclosure defense strategies attorneys will not share with you. One of the goals, the number one goal, should be to stay in your house while you get your evidence on the court record for your appeal if they dismiss your lawsuit on a procedural violation. Right now, you have nothing on the record to protect you. Even in a judicial foreclosure, we have nothing on the record to help us. As a matter of fact, the attorneys don't file their original contract or an accounting of the money trail on the record. So that's a problem for them because the court don't have jurisdiction without those things. But they're so used to doing whatever they want because we follow their conventional path. We have to follow the unconventional foreclosure path. People need to realize that the conventional foreclosure program is set up by the very attorneys that's trying to steal your property. So we're going to start out today talking about the difference between judicial and non-judicial foreclosures. And then later on, I'm going to provide some links for you guys to follow, to get documents that you can use to fight your foreclosures. And I haven't quite figured out how to take the questions yet, but I'll get around to that. This is the first live webinar training program that I put on, so I'm still learning how to use the Zoom platform. It's really cool. Anyway, in a non-judicial foreclosure, that whole process is started with a notice of default letter. The notice of default letter is used to execute the power of sale clause in the deed of trust. Once you get that letter, you have 30 days to 45 days, something like that, to cure the default, to pay up. Not only what they say you owe, but also to pay up the attorney fees that they're charging to file the foreclosure against your property. That whole process is kind of sketchy. I still don't understand how they can do that because the Constitution provides that we have a right to be in a court of record before they take our property, and they're not doing that. There's a lot that they don't do. One tip that I'm going to give you guys that'll help you out for those of you putting your own paperwork together, making your own documents, is this is what I've uncovered. That generally that notice of default letter is signed by the attorney, not the trustee. Only the trustee can execute the power of sale clause in a deed of trust. So if that letter is signed by the attorney, then it's a problem. It's a problem because the person without standing initiated the foreclosure, and that makes the whole thing void. That alone can be put into a motion to dismiss or to vacate the judgment because the person that initiated the foreclosure did not have standing. And the good thing about that is most of you have those documents. You have the notice of default letter showing the attorney signed it. You also have the deed of trust showing that who the actual trustee is. Those are two of the main exhibits that we use in our wrongful foreclosure lawsuit package. We have you put those in, and they cause a big problem for the attorney, because the other thing that we do different than the conventional program and the non-conventional program, we list the attorneys as the number one defendant and the law firm as the second defendant, and then the lender third. We always reserve the right to amend. But the reason we do that is, I've been through this process that you guys are facing right now, except that I was put through the judicial foreclosure. And all the times that I went to court, not one time did anybody from the bank show up. We had a guy in our Facebook group that was trying to find the physical address for DITEC. And some of the people in the group actually found the address, but in the meantime, I had him send a copy of the of the service to the attorney for the lender. Because if the attorney's working on behalf of the lender filing the lawsuit, the attorney should be able to accept any service, anything that has to do with that lawsuit. And the attorney could not accept the service. And that shows right there that the attorney is not working for the bank. I think, and this is my personal opinion based off of what I've seen over the last 5 years, I think the attorneys are the ones that are actually initiating all these unlawful foreclosures. I think they are the actual plaintiff and not the lender. And that's my opinion. And when the attorneys have to, when we add them to the list as number one defendant, they have to prove agency. And they can't. I have not had one attorney yet prove agency. Now, what that means is they have to prove that they were actually hired by the bank. And the bank is a corporation. It doesn't have arms or legs, and it can't sign anything. Oh yeah, they can have a representative from the bank. That's not the same thing. See, we have gotten caught up in the attorney BS for so long that we just don't know when we need to be standing up and saying enough's enough. But we're starting to learn. Thank God for the internet. So tonight we're going to be covering the importance of creating your dispute. And that's part of our unconventional strategy. If you're facing a non-judicial foreclosure, it's very important that you get your dispute on the court record as soon as possible. That dispute is going to help you block the eviction process if it makes it to that point. We're going to show you how to create the dispute. And I had a guy tell me yesterday, he was going to file a les pendens to create his dispute. And I guess doing anything is better than doing nothing. But a les pendens pretty much clouds the title. I don't think that would stop the sale or make them do anything different. They would just continue with it and then figure out a way to get around that after the process is done. One of the things that we found by adding the attorneys to the lawsuit as the number one defendant is forces the attorneys into a procedural problem. Okay, they have a procedural issue because they cannot litigate a case that they are a party to, and they cannot represent themselves in court. So once we do that, the attorneys have to hire another attorney in a different law firm, because remember, we added the law firm also. So anybody in the law firm would have a conflict of interest and wouldn't be able to step up to the plate. And that little problem alone has caused a few people to be able to file their notice of defaults because the attorneys could not answer in time in the 21 days because they had to hire someone else to represent them. And I'm thinking part of that problem that they were having was the fact that when we add the two exhibits, the notice of default letter and the deed of trust showing who actually initiated the foreclosure and that person didn't have standing, and then the deed of trust shows who the trustee actually is, that is indisputable evidence, and it's hard to argue. And I think that's one of the reasons why the attorneys have such a hard time with getting their response to our lawsuit filed in time. Creating that dispute is key, in my opinion, because if the process makes it to the eviction side of things, and we're going to talk about that here in a minute, then having that dispute is the only thing that you can use to protect you. And the reason that's protecting you is because, and a lot of people don't realize this, I didn't realize this either until, I had clients filing the lawsuit, and then we had the federal court would just kind of stall, and which gave them time on the back half to go ahead and continue with the eviction process. And I didn't realize how dirty the eviction process was until I started helping a few people in our closed Facebook group. And then I found out. So what they do is after they move the case over to JP court or a lower court, and in that court, that court can only make a determination on immediate possession, okay? It cannot make a determination on a title dispute. It does not have jurisdiction to make a determination on a title dispute. And people don't realize that. Most people, when they go into eviction court, they go in with the same documents that they were using in the foreclosure, try to defend themselves, and they find out that the judge don't want to hear it. And most of these eviction cases are like done in like 5 minutes or just a little over 5 minutes, and they're slamming the hammer down, and the judge is ordering you off the property. And now you got 3 days to pack your stuff and get off the property, and they send the sheriff out to help you do that when the 3 days is up. So what we've been teaching people how to do is to use that title dispute, okay, to block the eviction, because the eviction court don't have jurisdiction if there's a title dispute. So you file your motion to challenge the jurisdiction of the JP court because there's a title dispute. You attach a copy, a file stamp copy of your lawsuit and your restraining order to the motion to challenge the jurisdiction of JP court, and you file that in JP court. And that is the way you get your federal documents filed in state court. You know, they won't let you file it in the court just by itself, but you can attach it as an exhibit, a file stamp exhibit to your motion to challenge the jurisdiction of JP court. And you file that in the court. And next, you will take the motion to remove, and you file that in federal court where your lawsuit is filed, okay? And you are using a copy of the challenge to jurisdiction and a copy of that lawsuit that you filed in the lower court as an exhibit to your motion to remove. And you're filing that in federal court. And when the federal court looks at it, they'll see that you're challenging jurisdiction. They know that JP court doesn't have jurisdiction to make a title dispute, so they can't refuse it. Well, I guess maybe they can, but we haven't had them refuse it yet. And once you get your case number on that motion to remove, it's kind of like filing an appeal. The lower court does not have jurisdiction to continue. Once you get that filed in your lawsuit, you have them attach it to your lawsuit, put the same case number as your lawsuit on it, and then you move to court to make it moot. Because see, here's the deal. They can't rule on immediate possession if there's a title dispute. And I think that's why they came up with the sketchy program of moving the eviction to a different court, because most of us don't realize that that court can only make a determination on immediate possession. And by the time you get to that point, you're almost out of time. And by the time people figure out that, you know, that court can't make a determination on title dispute, it's too late. You know, it's time to go home and pack your stuff up so you can get out before the police get there. So that's the process, one of the processes that we have set up to help people fight in the non-judicial foreclosure situation, okay? Once you get those two things filed, we also have other documents that clients are filing to, you know, pretty much attack their attorneys for not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Under Rule 11, attorneys are supposed to, they're supposed to do a reasonable pre-filing investigation before they file the lawsuit, before they file foreclosure. And I actually, and this is ironic, I actually got that information off of the Bar Association website. Now, I didn't get all of the information off there. I got just enough to kind of push my brain over to one side, and I'm like, oh, let's take a look at this. And then we came up with the rest of it. You know, they only put a little bit out there to make it look like, you know, they're doing all the right things or whatever, and they're actually not. We already know that. So I put together a demand for sanctions, and usually what I do is I ask for the $5.5 million, the same amount I'm asking for the lawsuit on the demand for sanctions. And that causes a problem for the attorneys also. Before we started doing the lawsuit packages, we used that to make the attorneys have to hire another law firm to help them, because that's kind of like that whole process of filing the sanction motion is kind of like filing a counterclaim. And They do not like it at all. So we have some unconventional strategies that we've been using. And, you know, everyone always says, so have you won? Everybody wants to know, have you won? Well, you know what? The process for a lawsuit takes a long time, okay? And while that's going on, if you get things done in time, you're still in your house. Remember, the number one goal is to stay in your house. That should be the number one goal. You know, I had a lady tell me I just want it to be over. Of course, to that I said, well, you should like just pack up and move out. She said, excuse me? I said, well, if you just want it to be over, you know, what they are trying to do is kick us out of the ring. We have to stay in the ring while we get our evidence on the court record. So we have to make sure that we're doing what we need to do to stay in the ring. You know, when you are ready to file your lawsuit, before you actually get to filing a lawsuit, you gotta do some research. You gotta check out the process of service for your state. Look it up, see what it is. You know, when I started, I was helping people for 4 years, 3.5 years, filing documents in the case that the attorneys filed against us, and hoping the judge would be fair. And one day I was doing some research and I thought, you know what, this non-judicial foreclosure situation, it just don't make sense. So I started looking into it. And what I found was that, and this is my opinion based off of what I found, the non-judicial foreclosure process was actually set up to provide a way for attorneys to process a foreclosure when the people just packed up and moved out. Yeah. And you can see what happened from there. You know, the attorneys started using that on, right now, more states have non-judicial foreclosures than judicial foreclosures. And one of the things that tipped me off to this was the fact that a lot of states have both. Okay, now we're really getting confusing. Judicial and non-judicial foreclosures. How could that be? Well, that is because it's sketchy and fraudulent. And we don't know. Once we start educating ourselves, things turn out to be a little bit different. You know, the other thing that I wanted to talk about too, is we have been led to believe so many lies that are not true. Like, for instance, attorneys having a license. Okay, the Supreme Court has ruled there's no such thing as unauthorized practice of law without a license. And I put the case number, the case law for that, I posted in our foreclosure group, in our Facebook Foreclosure Rescue page. I post it in there all the time. So if attorneys don't have a license to practice law, then why are they holding us to the same standard? Oh, wait, excuse me. They hold us to a higher standard because they keep making us jump through all these hoops, and attorneys aren't jumping through any of those hoops. They are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and that's obvious. So we have to step up and make sure that we're holding them accountable for the things that they're not doing right. And we have to let their fear go. One of our guys in the Facebook page posted, or one of our ladies in the Facebook page posted, made a post one time, and I'll never forget this. I read it, and I sent her a message, and I told her that I was going to post it on my page because I think it's like very relevant. She says, the post said, if you can't beat the fear, do it scared. Pretty much wraps it up. Do it scared. I have a couple of these fear posts that one of them is never let fear decide your fate. And I think a lot of us do that. This whole process of going through the foreclosure situation is very draining, and it's very fearful because your family could be out on the street. in a matter of days, in a matter of 3 days, if we don't get this right. Now, when people ask me, how many cases have you won and how, I tell them, look, there's people that are fighting are still in their homes. Okay, the unconventional process is better than going through the conventional process. I can tell you that for sure. And one of the things that I don't get, I was researching one day how to stop a non-judicial foreclosure, and I just Googled it, how to stop a non-judicial foreclosure. And what I came up with, the first two were ads from attorneys. The first two entries were ads from attorneys. The third entry was from Nolo, which is a website that you can hire attorneys from. And on that website, it said right there, in order to stop a non-judicial foreclosure, you have to file a wrongful foreclosure lawsuit, because that whole process is done outside of court. It's sad. It's done outside of court, and no one has a chance to do anything. Hang on one second. Go Jayhawks. So when that process starts, the first thing attorneys will tell you is that we need to get you first off, a loan modification, or a short sale, or bankruptcy. Okay, so those are 3 options that attorneys tell people all the time. And I'm thinking, well, why the hell don't they mention filing their wrongful foreclosure lawsuit? Why don't attorneys have the wrongful foreclosure lawsuit set up as a template? I hate to use that word, but I guess that's the best word to describe it. Have it set up so people could go in and change the red font with their information, instead of having to charge someone $5,000 to write the whole document from scratch, when each document almost fits everybody. It's particularly if you're looking at the situation from addressing the procedural issues and unlawful stuff that the attorneys do during the foreclosure, as opposed to your own nuts and bolts of your particular situation. Attorneys don't have that. They want you to do the loan modification. And nowadays, the loan modification is used to disqualify homeowners. Yeah, because you have to expose yourself by providing your financial information. And once they see, in most cases, that you have more debt going out than income coming in, then they don't want to work with you no more. All of a sudden, they start stalling. We need some more paperwork. We need you to refill out this paperwork. I need some ID. I need all this stuff. Okay. And at the end of the day, in a non-judicial foreclosure, you don't have time for all that stuff. Now, sure, they're supposed to, if they agree to do a loan modification, they're supposed to stop all the foreclosure process. And if they don't, it's called dual tracking. But you know what? They get away with it all day long because the attorneys are not trying to help anybody address any of that stuff. The second thing the attorneys offer for foreclosure defense is short sale. And well, a short sale means they're going to sell your property short of what it's worth. It's pretty much speaks for itself. That's not going to help you stay on your property. What the attorneys don't tell you is that most of the states, about a little over half of the states, have what's called a deficiency statute. And what that means is whatever is deficient from what you owe after the short sale, they can come after you for that. They can garnish your wages, attack your bank account. Yep, all day long. And they're offering that as foreclosure defense. I don't understand. The bankruptcy has stopped some people's foreclosures. Okay, most of the people that I've worked with, the bankruptcy stopped it for a couple of months after they paid, I don't know, $1,500, $2,500 to the bankruptcy. To the trustee. It's kind of funny. They don't call the bankruptcy attorney. People don't call the bankruptcy attorney an attorney. They call him a trustee. Well, he's a stinking attorney. He's a trustee attorney. okay? And they work for the system. Most of the people that I've helped that filed a bankruptcy, after 3 or 4 months, the house was kicked out of the bankruptcy and put back in the foreclosure. Yeah, an attorney said, well, we don't know what happened. Well, what happened was the attorney didn't object to it. And in most cases, they had already agreed to do that in the first place. It's just a matter of how long they're going to let you sit there and think that everything's cool. And you go back home. A lot of times, I had a lady call me the other day. She went home and, whatever bankruptcy and everything was fine. And they was going through the process and they accepted her. And next thing you know, they came out to change the locks on her house. She's like, what? Well, it turns out her house got kicked out of the bankruptcy and put back in the foreclosure. Now, the trustee attorney is not the foreclosure attorney, so he didn't tell her. No one, and he's not going to tell her because they paid him good money to do the bankruptcy. So when all this starts happening, all of a sudden, they don't answer the phone no more, or return your emails or your phone calls. And now your house is sold while you're over there relaxing, thinking that everything is good. I mean, these attorneys do some pretty bad stuff to people. It's really sad. I had one lady in Texas, she filed her lawsuit, but she didn't serve the people. And before she filed a lawsuit, we were talking, and she said what she'd like to do is just pay up because they had the money now to go ahead and pay up everything that the bank claimed they owed. So I told her, I said, if it was me and I was going to pay up, I would make sure that they gave me a new contract. Because what happens is if you pay up, they can take your money and continue the foreclosure because their thinking is that you owed them the money already because you are behind. And so she went ahead and, she tried to do the right thing and pay up so she could avoid all this, drama in court and stuff. And she went home and they thought everything was fine. About 2 months later, they came to her house to change the locks on the door. She didn't know what was going on. Of course, she kicked them off her property and she started doing some checking. Turns out the attorney that was working for the alleged lender that she paid what she was behind on to disappeared. And a new attorney came into the picture and picked up the foreclosure right where the other attorney had left off. And the whole time she thought everything was fine. And yeah, so now they're fighting getting ready to fight the eviction process. And some of the people in the Facebook group are helping her get things together so that she'll have a better chance of stopping the eviction and getting herself back in court. And so she went ahead and served the people and went ahead and went forward with her lawsuit. I don't understand. I have people all the time that they want to pay up and they want to make everything right, but they don't realize that the bank's going to make more money stealing their house. They're really not interested in getting those, whatever they're saying you owed them, because they can make more money stealing your house. Personally, I don't think the bank is the one doing the foreclosures. I think the bank's waiting in the shadows, okay, for the house to sell for a loss at the auction so they can claim the mortgage insurance and get paid the full amount of the alleged mortgage, of the alleged loan. That's what I think is going on. And I think the attorneys are the ones pocketing from the unlawful foreclosures. That's just my opinion based off of what I've seen over the last 4 or 5 years. And I know attorneys don't agree with me. As a matter of fact, I had one of my ads, one of my videos, I posted as an ad on Facebook. Facebook, I don't know if anybody has posted ads on Facebook. Facebook is really hard to get an ad approved on Facebook because you can't have too many words in the picture, and you can't talk about politicals. It's a pain. So I made the video, and we talked in the video quite a bit about creating your dispute and how that helps you with the, block the eviction process. So I went ahead and posted it, and they accepted it. I was like, wow, that's nice. So my ad was up and running. People were looking at my ad, and one day I got a comment on it. Oh, somebody's commenting on my ad. Let me go over and see what they're saying. And it was two attorneys, and they were asking me if I was spreading fraud. And so I was like, no, I'm not spreading fraud. I've done a lot of research on this subject, so I know I'm not spreading fraud. And then they asked me if my parents had told me that not paying your bills was unlawful. And so I tell them, I said, yeah, my parents told me that. My parents also told me that, that alleged loan for the mortgage was actually created with the homeowner's very own signature. I said, man, my parents also told me that attorneys don't really have a license to practice law because the Supreme Court rules that no state, and in the case law, they wrote state in upper and lower case to cover both states, the corporation and the actual state. No state can license the practice of law. It's a common right. And while I was saying this, I went ahead and copy and pasted the case law into the window to see, because I know they were going to come back with blah, 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 blah. So I pasted it in the window. Oh, they were pissed. So then they came back and they told me that I was misapplying the case law. So I told them, I said, look, I'm not as smart as attorneys, so maybe you guys can explain it to me. Well, that pissed them off too. And then they told me that they reported my website to the California Attorney General's office. And good luck with that, they said. So, of course, I asked them, what you report me for? The unauthorized practice law without license? And we already talked about that. And they had nothing else to say to me. It's interesting how attorneys have been trying to block me from helping people, but the people I'm helping are not the people they're interested in helping, even if they could, because it's easier for them to help the system steal people's property than it is to help people. So they're going to have to just live with that. I haven't heard from the California Attorney General yet. He's going to have to get in line. There's a few people that are already stepping up to the plate trying to stop me from helping people. But as you guys see, I'm still here. Website's still up and running. So we need to all come together. You guys fighting foreclosures, you should look for my Facebook page, Foreclosure Rescue, and you should send me a link to join the page. You can see the progress that some of my clients that are using my documents are doing. You can see what they're doing. And I tell you what, some of the people in the group are absolutely, we have like the best Facebook page group ever. We have people in the group coming up with ideas. I had one lady, she told me, she asked me if I knew who the real trustee was. And I said, well, according to my studies, we are the real trustee instead of this person that they have listed on the deed of trust. And of course, she said, yeah, I wonder what would happen if we filed in the public record a notice of change of trustee and made ourselves or a friend or someone that won't foreclose on you, made them the trustee. I was like, that would be interesting. Give them a run for. People in our Facebook group have come up with some great strategies to put in with what we're trying to do in this non-conventional foreclosure process that we're trying to put together to help teach people how to fight. So also, I have a YouTube channel, and it's also Foreclosure Rescue. You guys can just go to my website and click on the video and go to the channel. I need to have subscribers. I need to have 1,000 subscribers to qualify for the YouTube partnership program. Once I qualify for that, I'll be able to host ads on my site. And the money generated from hosting those ads will allow me to be, I don't know, a non-for-profit foreclosure defense business. I'll be able to help more people save their house from foreclosure, even the people, you know, that's struggling, you know, that have struggling with their finance. I'll be able to help more people. I just need subscribers. I need 1,000 subscribers. I need 4,000 minutes of watch time on my videos. And the watch time, I'm getting pretty good. I think last month I had 1,400 minutes of watch time. So I'll get that real. And plus, my Facebook page or my YouTube page was up and rolling already, so I already had some time on there. But I'm kind of struggling with the subscribing situation. So if you guys know people that are in foreclosure or people that would like to, you know, to be a part of helping us put together a non-conventional foreclosure defense program, have them subscribe to my YouTube channel so I can get that 1,000 people that I need to start hosting ads. Okay, I know. I have big goals. I had a lady tell me one day that I was delusional. And yeah, that's not the first time I've been told that. You know, I dream big. And my dream is, I'm thinking, boy, wouldn't it be nice if everybody facing foreclosure had an opportunity to use the documents and strategies that we're learning how to put together here? Yeah, and that'll happen once I'm able to host ads on my YouTube channel. So this is my first live training seminar, and I got a little work to do. I'm still learning how to use the Zoom platform. So I need to figure out how to set it up so people can ask me questions and we can answer those questions on the live feed, and everybody that's in the group can actually see the question. Right now, I'm doing this on YouTube, from Zoom onto Facebook, because I want to go live on Facebook and let everybody see, you know, what's going on and what we're doing, and that we're making a difference. We haven't got it all figured out yet, but we got more of it figured out than what attorneys are doing, because they ain't trying to help nobody do anything. So go to my Facebook page, Foreclosure Rescue. Send me a request to join the group. You have to answer the questions, because I don't let people in the group that don't answer the questions, and I don't allow people in the group that's selling other stuff, because I can control the integrity of the group if it's just me, because I'm honest and I'm here to help people get this done. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, and also like my YouTube stuff and like my Facebook page too. It lets everybody see that other people are liking it. It's real interesting. Once we start working together, we can accomplish some very, very, very good things. So I just want to thank you guys for watching today. I'll let you know when I have the next webinar training program, and hopefully I have a training session tomorrow with the people from Zoom, so I can learn how to use their platform a little bit more and be able to answer questions and do some things like that. So anyway, if you guys are having a struggle with a foreclosure issue, give me a call, okay? My number is 913-240-0227. Ask for the big guy, and that'll be me. Thank you. You guys have a great day.